Welcome to another episode of Decoding Chemical Engineering. Today we have with us Panagiotis Dimitrious, who is both an environmental and a chemical engineer, and he's currently working in the packaging industry. Well, welcome, Panagiotis. We are very happy to have you with us, and we are very much looking forward to asking you a lot of questions about chemical engineering, environmental engineering, and your job. But before we begin, can you kindly tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Yeah, sure. First of all, thanks for having me. Thanks for inviting me in this podcast. I've watched some of the previous ones. They are very informative in terms of how to approach a chemical engineering career.
Thank you.
And hopefully I can provide some more information that people do not already know. So yeah, I'm Panos. I'm from Greece. As for my educational background, I've studied environmental engineering here in Greece as my bachelor's degree. And then I chose to study in Denmark in Chemical and Biochemcial Engineering for 2 years. And yeah, and then I got my master's degree. And I started working since July in DS Smith, which is a company that provides sustainable solutions in packaging, recycling, and paper industry.
Okay, amazing. Thank you. So that's truly amazing. So you are both an environmental and a chemical engineer, the combination of two most wanted degrees in the industry. So, but thank you so very much for being here with us today, Panos. We are very happy to have such an educated or such a professional person with us here today. And we have lots of questions to ask you. So let's get the ball rolling. Can you kindly briefly tell us about what exactly is environmental engineering to begin with?
Yeah, basically engineering in general is getting the principles that you learn from university, from physics, chemistry, biology, math, and translating them to solutions. So as for my environmental engineering degree, you try to find solutions in environmental matters, such as waste management or water treatment, pollution, and more. And also for chemical engineering is also finding solutions, but more into manufacturing processes and industrial, pharmaceuticals, food industry. Engineering in general is finding solutions to common problems that we face daily, and the environment faces daily also.
Good and very well explained. Thank you, Panos. But then you did your bachelor's in environmental engineering, and then you followed it up with a master's in chemical and biochemical engineering, correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Can you kindly just tell us a little bit more about the transition of going from environmental engineering towards chemical engineering? How was that for you?
Yeah, so after finishing my bachelor's degree here in Greece, I thought I was not very specialized in something. I had knowledge from many different fields that environmental engineering provides. And I wanted to be more specific, more specialized in chemistry, in chemical engineering. So I chose that master's degree. And also my decision to study abroad was a decision that was made after a lot of thinking. I tried to analyze the situation with all the European countries and see if my future will be better in Denmark or in Sweden or in Germany. And yeah, I thought the program that DTU provided in Denmark was very suitable for me, and that's why I chose it.
Okay, amazing. But environmental engineering and chemical engineering, just like you said in the beginning, engineering is all about finding solutions using the scientific methods. In your experience, what were the main overlaps between the environmental and chemical?
So my main concern taking the decision was I didn't want to do a master's degree where I basically learn the same things that I learned in my bachelor's degree. Because bachelor's degrees in engineering in Greece are 5 years. So you basically learn a lot and you don't want to learn them again. So yeah, they overlap, but um, DTU gives an opportunity for you to choose a lot of subjects, many elective courses that you can take from different fields. And that gives you freedom uh, to avoid this overlapping that you mentioned and choose the correct courses that you want to educate yourself with and yeah, not take the courses that you took in your bachelor's again.
Okay, amazing. I mean, and you're exactly very right. You don't want to end up learning the same stuff in the master's that you already have covered in your bachelor's. It's a good idea
Yeah.
to really expand your range of knowledge, I guess. So that is very rightly said. But now that you have done two different degrees, you have done environmental and chemical, and you have, of course, have done them on different levels. If you were to compare the two degrees with each other, the environmental subjects and with the chemical mindset, do you feel that one is easier or difficult than the other?
Yeah, it's kind of hard for me because it's not the same university that I did
Mm-hmm.
both.
Okay.
So I cannot really compare them, but
Mm-hmm.
I think if you did a bachelor's degree in environmental engineering and if you did a bachelor's degree in chemical engineering, they are not very they they're not very different in terms
Mm-hmm.
of difficulty.
Mm-hmm.
But as for me, it was harder to do the master's degree,
Mm-hmm.
um, but also I needed to adapt to a different country. I needed to adapt to a different
Mm-hmm.
culture and educational
Mm-hmm.
system. So that played the role too.
Okay, of course. Yeah, I mean, of course, moving to a different country and to a different university, that tends to have a very strong impact on of course, your own experience. Yeah, that is totally understandable. Thank you. But then finally, I'll ask you this. You said earlier, of course, uh, that you didn't want to learn the same stuff in the master's, the one that you did in your bachelor's, and that's why you went ahead and did a different degree from what you had done your bachelor's in. But if you were to compare, because you did your bachelor's also in engineering and you did your master's in chemical, do you feel that the topics that you had learned from environmental or the fundamental knowledge that you had helped you in transition into chemical engineering degree? Or do you feel that when you went into the master's, chemical engineering was a completely different sector that you had to get used to?
Oh, for sure, it helped. 5 years is a lot, and all the courses that you take provide you with such information that you use in the future. And of course, the courses that I chose to take in chemical engineering were somewhat related to my previous ones. Of course, there are exceptions always. Um, there might be courses that are not very well related to the previous ones, and you have to study a lot not to catch up because people might be more well educated in that subject compared to you. Um, so yeah, I think.
Okay, but that's understandable. Thank you so very much for sharing that. But then moving on to, we would like to ask you about your experience going from Greece to Denmark. You did your bachelor's from Greece, and then you did your master's from Denmark. Uh, and you said in the very beginning that you did assess many different countries in terms of the best possible outcome. What made you choose Denmark as your final choice?
Um, I knew from different people that northern countries, Scandinavian countries, Sweden, Denmark, Finland, um, are better in terms of engineering and the path that you take afterwards, after studying. And it's easier to translate your educational career to your job later. And I really like that. I really like the conditions that DTU provides, the feedback that you get from all the teachers, the courses, and they have a completely different system from Greece. And I just really wanted a different environment, a change.
Okay, amazing. But then if I was to ask, how was your experience from going from Greece to Denmark? Were there any cultural differences that you had to deal with?
For sure, like the first thing that comes to mind is language. You speak Greek almost for 23, 24 years, and then suddenly you wake up to people that do not speak Greek. So yeah, it's a big cultural difference. But in DTU there were many international students, many Greeks, many Spanish, many Italian people. So it was way easier to adapt than I had expected.
Okay,
Yeah.
amazing. But then, do you feel that not knowing the language affected you in any way, either university or once you graduated?
You mean the Danish language?
The Danish language, yes.
The Danish language. It affected me after graduating. I didn't choose to learn it. Maybe it was my mistake, but it was hard for me to find the dream job, let's say the perfect job for me, and without knowing the language. And yeah, so that's why I went back to Greece afterwards.
Okay, but then if I was to ask, because now we spoke about the cultural difference and the language barrier, different countries, they also have a very different study culture, or very different university culture and university requirements. Did you feel that there was anything different from your university in Greece to the DTU?
Yeah, for sure. In Denmark, universities are more practical. You tend to do a lot of group work. Every project that you are assigned with, you are assigned also with a team, and it's rare that you do an individual project. You always have 2 or 3 or 4, even 4 people with you, and that really enhances your cooperation level and how you communicate, how to work with other people, and that was the major difference, I think.
Okay, but following up on that, then do you also feel that there is any difference in workload when you're studying in Denmark compared to Greece?
I think the workload was less in Denmark. I feel like after the 4-hour course or the 8-hour courses that we had during the day, I didn't have much to do for the next day. And I mean, we had projects that we needed to complete under a deadline, a specific deadline. But apart from that, my daily routine, I think, was a bit easier in Denmark than in Greece.
Okay, amazing. It's always good to have less workload. So I guess that was a good thing. Yep. But then in your experience, then, would you categorize one system to be better than the other? Like generally, if you were to look at all the variables that you had?
I don't want to say better, but it's completely different, and you have to adjust. In Denmark, Danish people already implement stuff like softwares that they use to take notes, to for equations, for simple math. And in Greece, we are so far behind in that. Um, we are old school, like taking notes, pen and paper, and yeah, I don't want to say better, but different.
I understand what you mean. So like very different way of working.
Yes.
For the people who are listening, let's say for the people who are listening from Greece, and they're also interested in pursuing a master's in Denmark or any other country, could you briefly touch on the process requirements and how it works?
Yeah, so you can basically apply after finishing your bachelor's, or if you are about to finish your bachelor's, and you just attach the required documents in the application, like your diploma, your English level, other languages. What else? Yeah, maybe some countries are specific with the residence permits and all that.
Okay.
But it's not that you have an interview. It's just you send the documents, and then they judge them, and they see if you meet the criteria that they want to have, and if you feel like that you have the correct documents, you can send them, and then they will send you an email after, I don't know, 2-3 months if you are accepted or not.
Okay, amazing. But could you briefly tell, like, for example, let's say if I would like to apply for a university in Denmark from Greece, what is the best way to go about it? Like, should the person directly contact the university for information, or?
No, I think directly. Yeah, that's what I did at least, and it was really easy, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah, applying to DTU was really easy.
Okay,
And
perfect.
they responded very fast as well.
Great. Well, thank you so very much for sharing all the tips about this. But now moving on, let's talk about the job that you are currently working in. Because now you have seen the best of both worlds. You have the basic fundamental knowledge in both environmental and chemical. And many times people are reluctant to do 2 different degrees. Many times people do the bachelor's and they follow it up with a master's in the same degree. The reason being that they feel that if you have 2 different degrees, then they cannot really become an expert on either of them. Do you think it is a valid concern for graduates when they're looking for jobs afterwards?
I think it's a valid concern, but I don't think when you finally get the job, I don't think it matters that much. Like,
okay.
Of course, knowledge helps. Of course, all the courses that you took are not for nothing. But in terms of your daily routine in your job, how you operate, how you work with other people, I don't think it really matters if you go from chemical to chemical or from chemical to environmental. Like, for me, it was about to gain different knowledge from different fields. But I also understand if a person is reluctant or afraid to go to another route because it might be harder for him, or thinks that he will not be very specialized in something.
Okay.
But I understand both ways, and both ways can be correct.
Okay, great, thank you. But did you have, because in your experience, did you have any problem when you were looking for jobs with 2 different degrees, or was that more of an asset or a liability?
I think it was more of an asset, to be honest. And because you combine knowledge from 2 different fields, and companies really like that, I think.
Okay, amazing. Thank you. Because like I said earlier, so you are working in the industry right now. Can you briefly tell us about your current role?
Yeah, sure. I'm working in DS Smith. DS Smith is a company, as I mentioned in the introduction, that provides sustainable solutions in packaging, recycling, and paper industry.
Mhm.
My role specifically is an operations trainee, which means that I'm focused on the continuous improvement of the facility, of the organization in general. So my role is to provide solutions to problems that come up, or even innovate and try to think of new things that we can add to our processes, to our people, that can benefit also in terms of cost, in terms of waste, um, yeah, in terms of the general productivity of the facility.
Mhm. Amazing. Uh, do you feel that the job that you have right now, is it more chemical based or is it more environmental based?
Um, I think it's more of a chemical engineering job,
Mhm.
because chemical engineering and process engineering are very similar.
Mhm.
And I feel like my role right now is a process engineer. So yeah.
Okay, amazing. And then what are the typical hard skills and soft skills that you have to use at the workplace?
Um, yeah, the skills that you have to have is are basically um, knowledge from your degrees, like
Mhm.
obviously easy softwares like Office.
Mhm.
Um, of course, English, because it's a multinational company and you have to communicate with other countries, with sites in other countries. You
Mhm.
have to compare the situations to see if they are doing better in terms of processes, manufacturing, and then you can communicate with your own people and tell them like, that's how they do it. Maybe we should do it that way,
Mhm.
and improvise, develop your own processes.
Okay.
Um, yeah.
Mhm. Amazing. Okay, great. Um, because now you said earlier that the reason you went back to Greece was because you had trouble with the Danish language, and that was a barrier when looking for jobs. How did
Mhm.
you end up getting this job? Could you briefly tell us like the applying process and how you found it?
Yeah. So I was basically applying on LinkedIn,
Mhm.
um, in jobs that I think were more suitable for me, for my degrees, and also for my experiences. I didn't want to have something that puts you in a routine, and you basically do the same thing every day, that you wake up and go to work.
Mhm.
So continuous improvement is something that changes from day to day, and that is amazing. Like
Mhm.
you always have something to think of and improvise, innovate. And
Mhm.
I basically applied to jobs that offer me this opportunity.
Okay, amazing. You have a long career ahead of you. So, what are your future plans given your hybrid knowledge in two different sectors?
Um, my plans. I'm not sure. I want to see how it goes, because before applying, I never thought I would end up in an industry. I thought that maybe my degrees are more suitable for
Mhm.
pharmaceutical companies or
Mhm.
lab scale experiments.
Mhm.
And I want to see how it goes with the industrial processes, manufacturing, and how my knowledge helps the company achieve their goals.
Mhm.
And if if in the end of my contract I sense that that is what I want to do for for many years,
Mhm.
um, then I will try to keep doing what I'm already doing.
Mhm.
Um, Otherwise, I will seek my initial plan. I will seek a career in a pharmaceutical company or lab scale experiments and similar things.
Okay, amazing. Thank you so very much for sharing all that. Thank you. Thank you. But now I would like to ask more about for other chemical engineering graduates who would like to work in Greece. Do you feel that there are good prospects for chemical engineers in Greece?
The tendency for people right now is to leave Greece, and that's for many reasons, but mainly the financial reason. And the Greek economy is going bad, and people want to go to different countries, to northern countries that know they have stability, financial support from the country that they live in. And for sure, there are opportunities here in Greece, don't get me wrong. And if you have the correct background and if you seek the most fitting companies, for sure you can have a career here in chemical engineering. But most of the times, going abroad is the way to go.
Okay, but
I'm being honest.
Yep. Yep. But thank you so very much for being honest. But that is sadly the reality, because chemical engineering jobs, they are entirely dependent on the economy of the country and how industrial the country is. So if the economy goes down, the first people to go out of business, they are chemical engineers.
One advice that I can give is if you stay in Greece, try to join a multinational company.
Okay, perfect. Because that is what I was just about to ask you right now, was that if someone cannot leave the country right away and they have to work in Greece, what companies or what industries would you prefer that people should work in so that they have a chance of going out of the country as well?
You have to seek the multinational companies. You have to seek the companies that are big names, and they can provide you with whenever you seek another opportunity, they will see in your curriculum that you were working there, and that is very beneficial for them and for you as well.
Amazing. But then, then it brings me to another question about how easy do you think it is to get a job in a multinational company in Greece? Do you think the competition is very high, or do you think it's doable?
As I said, because the tendency is to go abroad, I think it got easier to find a job in Greece.
Okay.
Of course, there is competition, but if you have one or maybe 2 degrees, it should be a lot easier.
Amazing. Okay. And finally, if I was to ask, for example, if I was to apply for a multinational company, how do you suggest that I can maximize my chances of getting hired? Any skills that I should do, internships, or any other tips that you could share?
Going for Erasmus programs, or studying abroad for a limited time, or 1 year, 2 years, is super beneficial. Companies really want to see that you have faced adversity, that you have faced different conditions, different situations, that you spoke another language for 2 years. That's what they want to see, and that's why they hire people that have studied abroad.
Perfect. Thank you. So the best way to get into a multinational company is to get some international experience under your belt by going abroad and doing some semester abroad and so on. So great. Thank you. Then it brings us to our time machine segment. Let's say that I can give you a time machine and you can go back to any time in the past and meet your old self. Where would you go and what would you tell yourself?
Maybe spend less time studying and start working earlier. That's the only thing that comes to mind in terms of advice. I think studying gets you only that far. It doesn't get you the job immediately. So experience plays a huge role in the industry, in the market, and everyone is seeking experienced people. And you might have 5 degrees, but if you don't have experience, it's always hard to find a job. And I don't know, maybe seek a 1-year master's instead of a 2-year master's. Maybe that was only the only thing that I could have changed.
Okay, amazing. And that is a very good advice, because theoretical learning the books doesn't get you anywhere. You really need to know the practical aspect of your degree to be able to go and work in the industry. So that is very rightly said. So thank you, Panos. Well, then I would like to ask you, what suggestion do you have for the future graduates? If you could meet and talk to the future generation of chemical engineers, what would you suggest the graduates should do while they are still in school or they're about to graduate?
Yeah, I would suggest that they do some seminars or webinars or whatever. Like putting stuff on your CV is very important. Like going for internships, 3 months, 5 months, doesn't matter. Just for your CV is very important. And as we mentioned before, studying abroad for limited periods, attending different lectures, like seminars that I mentioned. It really helps your CV, and also languages. The more you know, the better.
Okay, amazing. And in terms of the languages, what languages would you think that people should be fluent in?
I mean, English, of course, and then maybe German is the second most common language in Europe. Spanish might be a good idea also. French, I don't know. Yeah.
Okay, of course. Yeah, great. But thank you so very much. Thank you so very much for sharing all your insights on that. And this actually concludes all the questions that we had for you for this interview. Is there anything else you would like to say?
No, I really thank you for having me. I really appreciate it, and hopefully I gave some useful information to people that are graduating and that are studying right now, seeking a job, trying to choose the correct path. It's always hard to choose the correct path because you always think that, oh, what if I did that? What if I did that? But
exactly. It tends to be a big decision when you are selecting your career path or even the title of your degree. So it tends to be, you really need to get a lot of insights before you can make that informed decision. But goes without saying, thank you so very much, Panos, for making time to be in the interview and for sharing such detailed insights. We are truly grateful, and we of course wish you the very best for your future career. Thank you once again.
Thanks a lot, Hamza.
Thank you for listening. And if you have not done so already, remember to become a free member at Chemical Engineering Life. And do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and stay tuned for more upcoming podcasts with chemical engineers. Thank you, and have a great day.